And so we drove up to the barricade. I greeted the policeman who was standing there, and I asked him. I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "About 20 kilometers down the road, water has washed out a section of the road about 50 feet wide." Now this is the main north-south road. This is like washing out, like I-95 was back with the flood. That's what this was. We're going, okay. So, we had passed some fellow missionaries coming out from Dar es Salaam, going past us, going in the direction we came from. We go, oh great, I bet you they're going to that person's house. We're going to have to go back there, and we won't have room. We've got to figure out where to stay. Went back to their house. We were able to stay. They didn't stop there. Waited. We had to wait and wait because they had to fix this road. We would go to the major bus stand in the town of Morogoro and ask the bus drivers. They would know. And so we, hey, oh, they said maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. Okay, okay. And so we waited. Finally, on Thursday morning, the road's open. Okay. At 4 a.m., we left. And we rolled into Nairobi, Kenya at 7 p.m. And that's with the border crossing. Needless to say, we missed the volleyball match. But what I love about what was written in the newspaper, the road is taken out by a flush flood. I said, that describes it perfectly. A flush flood. That's it. I got it. So anyway, best laid plans. We tried to do this. But, you know, we got to see Tim, just didn't get to see him play in the volleyball match. So put yourself in that, things that you planned and didn't come out like you planned it. You were wrong. You were mad, angry, however you reacted to it. Well, Jonah was the same way. He delivered the message and he expected God to fulfill that message. And here these people repenting, and God relented, and nothing so far. Jonah was upset. He was mad. And so, he was talking with God, had these fun conversations, and in this version it says, Jonah was greatly displeased and furious because God didn't do what he said he was going to do because the people repented. Now he prayed. This is what Jonah prayed. Please, Lord, isn't this what I said while I was still in my own country? I knew you'd do this. You're going to make me look like an idiot. That's what he was saying. That's why I fled toward Tarshish in the first place, because I knew you were going to relent. And I didn't want to look like an idiot, telling them they're going to be destroyed. You got to know the Hebrew. That's some extra Hebrew that's thrown in there, you know, the translation. But here's Jonah. He said, God, I knew that you are a merciful, compassionate, slow to become angry, rich in faithful love, and one who relents from sending disaster. Jonah knew the characteristics of God and his attributes. He knew it. I mean, he said it right there. But he was so mad that he said, now, Lord, and y'all think drama is something? Here's Jonah's drama. Please, take my life from me, for it's better for me to die than to live. I can't handle this. Now, why do you think he was like that? Well, he was a prophet. A test of a prophet is when you say something that comes true. And the Assyrians who lived in Nineveh were enemies of Israel. So, he was sent by God from Israel to Nineveh to tell them God is going to destroy you in 40 days. And the people back in Israel, but the people repented in Nineveh. The people back in Israel said, nah, he ain't so much of a prophet. He said that Nineveh was going to be destroyed. Nothing's happened. And so, Jonah, they said, you know, he's a traitor. You know, he was saying these things. He is a traitor to our country. And he was telling God, please, God, I'd rather die. Please, take me. Y'all ever been to that? Y'all ever been there? I just want to die. I'm so low. I just want to die. And that's where he was, the drama in his life. So, here's Jonah. He's already said, God, this is who you are. But now I just want to die because what nothing's happened that I expected. Basically what happened was the will of Jonah didn't happen, but the will of God did. And Jonah didn't like the will of God and what happened. So he said, why don't you just take me out? I'm tired. No, just take me out. So Jonah, he goes on. And God asked him a question. You know you're in trouble when God asks you a question. And God said, is it right for you to be angry? You ever had God ask you that question? Is it right for you to be angry? And you notice there is no reply from Jonah. You know, I don't know what he did. He probably just, he might have just did that. Y'all done that before? Somebody asked me a question, you go, no answer. Jonah gave no answer in Scripture. So, what did Jonah do? He left the city. He went outside. Now, remember, he delivered his message. He went outside and he built this little shelter, little lean-to. He said, I want to watch the fireworks. He said, because I pet for 3 days and then it was going to be destroyed. I said in 40 days. So, day 40, 39, 38. Now we're at day 37. All right, so I'm going to plop down here and I'm just going to wait. You know, man, I'm going to be patient. That's my spirit. One of my spiritual gifts is patience. God's going to take care of this. I want to see Him destroy it, and I want the 50-yard line, see, right there. And he waited, and he waited. God was teaching him a lesson. So, God let a plant grow up. Now, remember we talked about Jonah being in the fish. He was probably bleached. And remember, pretty hot there. And so, bleached out. The sun was beaten down. So, God allowed a plant. And some people think it's a castor plant that grows very quickly. And it has very broad leaves. And so, he had built his little lean-to, but this plant grew up over the shelter. And Jonah said, oh, yeah. Love that shade, baby. This is nice. And so he said, okay, good. This means that I'll be okay. And I won't be as uncomfortable. And he loved the plant. But when dawn came the next day, God sent a worm. Y'all love worms, don't you? Mainly on the end of a hook, right? But God sent a worm, ate through the root system, the plant died. God's done a lot of things in this book. The weather, when Jonah tried to run the other way, a great fish. He had a plant. Now he has a worm. The plant grew up, and the worm did some mowing, cut the root, and the plant died. And what did Jonah do? Oh man, the plant died. I am so sorry. He loved that plant. He was glad that it grew, but he was mad. And look what Scripture says. It withered, and as the sun was rising, I don't know if y'all have ever been out of country. When we lived in East Africa, when the sun comes up, it comes up fast. And it goes down fast. So he's sitting there in his little lean-to. The plant died, so that extra shade, that extra coolness isn't there. The sun comes up, and a Sirocco wind comes off the Arabian desert and just blasts him. And y'all been hit with a hot wind before? You've been outside and man, I don't need that. If it's not going to be cool, I don't need that one. But that's what came there, a Sirocco wind. And so he's sitting there, the sun's coming down, the plant died, the wind's blowing, and he's just miserable. And then what does Scripture say? Here he goes again. And he was so hot that he became faint. Yeah, have y'all been that hot before? Almost like he had a heat stroke. That he was going to faint because it was so hot. And here he goes again. It's better for me to die than to live. There goes with drama again. I'd rather die than live. God's asking him again a question. Is it right for you to be angry about the plant? That the plant died? Now, Jonah gave him an answer this time. Well, of course I'm right. I'm angry enough to die. Okay, just because of a plant. We need to calm down. In Swahili you say, "Starehe, one, starehe." Calm down, calm down. And so, Jonah cared about this plant, but he wanted to see Nineveh destroyed. And finally, God said, after his answer to the question, yes, I'm angry, I want to die. I can't stand this. God said, look, he said, you cared about the plant. You didn't plant it. You didn't cause it to grow. I mean, it appeared overnight. And it died in a night. You didn't do a thing. And so then God asked him a rhetorical question. Should I not care about the great city of Nineveh, who has perhaps about 600,000 people? And God was saying, and about 120,000 of them don't know the difference between their right hand and their left hand. And many people were saying that 120,000 were probably 2, 3, 4-year-old children who didn't know their right from their left. I don't know, do some of y'all fall in that category today? You still don't know your right from your left? All right. So God is asking him this question. Should you care so much about this plant that you had nothing to do with it? Should I not care about a city with this many people? And some, 120,000 of them that can't even tell right from left. Should I not care about, and the animals, should I not care about them? And guess what? There was no answer to the question. Not one. Now we don't know what happened to Jonah. He didn't answer the question. But what can we learn from this? From Jonah, all through this book? First, we see that God has pity and compassion on all people. He loves all people. He wants all people to come to him. And that way is through Jesus Christ. You know, we quote John 3:16 a lot, don't we? For God so loved... No, I'm going to let you quote it. You tell me. For God so loved the world that he gave his only... Now, can you tell me what John 3:17 says? Not to condemn the world. God sent his Son into the world. Not to condemn the world, but that the world through him may be saved. That's a big change. So, what we learned from Jonah, God has pity on all people. He wants them to come to him. And he's made the way for them to come through his Son, Jesus Christ. And now another thing that we can learn from Jonah is that you can serve the Lord but not have any heart in it whatsoever. Jonah did what God told him to do the second time. He finally went the second time. But do you think he really cared about those people? No. All right, God, I'm going to deliver the message. That's it. And he sat and waited. He wanted to see them destroyed. You can serve God and not have any heart. You can just, okay, I've checked that off. I've done this. If you don't have any heart in serving him, you can still serve him, but you have no heart. No heart in it whatsoever. What did Jesus say? The greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength. And the second thing is love your neighbor as yourself. But we can serve God without having heart. And we talked about this. Jonah, what you need is love. Does anyone know 1 Corinthians 13? 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And I didn't mark it, I apologize. But you know, that's the chapter that talks about love. And Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 13, he says, if I speak with human or angelic languages, but do not have love, I am a sounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, And if I have all faith so that I can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. Paul was saying you can do all these things, but if you have love, it's nothing. It's nothing. Christmas. Some of y'all probably watch this every year. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Yeah, come on. I see those smiles. You do. Secretly, you go in and you watch it when nobody else is looking, right? You want to see this.
The original.
The original. Yes, the original. Well, remember the first lines? Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch who just lived north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. Not one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos. Now, you know the story. And I'm not going to go through the whole story. But at the end, things change. And again, you see, his heart was 2 sizes too small. That's what they really thought. He hated the Whos. And then at the end, the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And so he went from hating the Whos to where his heart grew, and he basically was taken back into them, because he was a Who also. So his heart changed. Did Jonah's heart change when he made the 500-mile trek back to Israel from Nineveh? We have silence on that. We would hope that his heart did change. He got the lesson God was teaching him, and he learned to love these people, even though they were their enemies. We had a lady in a family in Tanzania who was there before us, and we worked with them. They worked in southern Tanzania. We were at a meeting with them one day, just somewhere, probably eating, and she said, I need to share this with you. She said, because we were new missionaries at the time, and she said, I just want to give you this advice that was given to me by, she said, a lady that I was at a meeting, and to this day, I only saw her that one time and never saw her again. So if you want to go that direction and think maybe she saw an angel that day, we won't go that way. We won't go into that, but we don't know. But this lady came up to her and said, if you minister here for your whole life, but you do not love us, we will forget you the day after you leave. She said, but if you come here even for a short time, and you minister, and you love us, we will remember you forever. That's the difference that love makes in ministry and in life. If you do it with love, people will remember you. In Tanzania they do, if you minister in love. Now you say, Jonah, yeah. Well, see, we knew the end of the story, but Jonah was going through this, and he didn't know the end of the story. And we really don't know the end of the story. Well, let's bow our heads, please. How do you look at other people? Do you know Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior? If you do, you can praise Him for that. He died for you. He was buried. He rose again. He paid the penalty for sin on the cross. If you've accepted that, believe that, and accepted that, you are a Christian, then praise Him for that. But then, as we live our Christian lives, how do we view other people? Do we view them like God? And God has pity on them and compassion, and He wants all people to come to Him? Or do we look at people and say, boy, I hope God takes it now. Ah, that person, there's no way, that person's far gone. No. No one is too far gone for God. No one. Are we like the Grinch in some respects? Is our heart 2 sizes too small? Where we just don't have compassion for other people. Let's have our hearts be where it grows 3 sizes. And we have the compassion that God has for these people to bring them to Him. To live our lives showing compassion, showing love, but being that example to them, to demonstrate God's love to them so that they'll want to know, hey, what have you got? I want that. I'm going to be standing by this table right down front. If you'd like to come, to pray, to talk to me, discuss anything, I'll be glad to talk with you. Karen's going to play a verse on the piano. You can stay seated. Bow your heads, close your eyes. Talk to God. Whatever you need to talk to Him about, talk to me. This is your time. If you'd like to respond in some way, I'll be right here. It's Karen Place. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to do this really fast. Call our business meeting to order. If you have a copy of your proposed budget, you've already looked at it. So basically, does anyone have any questions about the budget? Had a couple of weeks to look at it.